Hi everyone, it's Mindy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share a fun and creative way to make custom die cuts by first creating your own backgrounds. I'm going to be using Distress Spray Stains and Distress Spritz. So I will show you how I'm building up those layers to add the color, the sparkle, the spritz, and then die cutting from those backgrounds. It gets a little messy, but it is a fun process. All of my supplies will be linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. The die cut that I'm going to be using today is the beautiful branch from Simon Says Stamp. So this is a two-piece set. It has that beautiful leafy branch and then some small flowers. Now you can use any die in your collection to do this. I just really like the size of the leaves, and this does come out to be a beautiful branch like its namesake. The first step in creating my backgrounds is going to be adding the color. So I'm starting with a distressed spray stain in Bundled Sage and Rustic Wilderness. I have a piece of watercolor cardstock placed into my splat box, and I do have a paper towel to kind of catch any excess ink. I start by spraying down the Bundled Sage, and then I'll come in with the Rustic Wilderness. When I am spraying, I do kind of move my hand across the cardstock as it sprays. Otherwise, if you stay in one spot, you'll get that bullseye look. I'm going to add a spritz of water because I like to have that water in there to move the color around and really let it mix together. This is something I do a lot as far as creating backgrounds with alcohol inks, is where I really like the movement of the color on the cardstock. I also have some paper towel kind of set off on the side so that I can set my backgrounds on that to dry. So here's another one I'm going to do. This time I started by spraying it with water first and then bringing in the Distress Spritz. Doesn't matter either way, it's just really fun to experiment with the sprays and create these unique backgrounds. So I do quite a few of these off screen. This is just our first step. We need to kind of have that color as our base layer before we add the shimmer with the spritz. I do have them drying off screen. I'm going to bring them in and I'm a little impatient, so I am going to speed up that drying time using my heat tool. Now, the next step is going to be adding that shimmer and shine. And for this, I am using the Bundled Stage and Rustic Wilderness in the Distress Spritz. So they do kind of have that tint of color to them, but it just works better when you have that base layer of color. So again, I am going to spritz that first with the Bundled Sage and then again with the Rustic Wilderness. Now, the thing with the Distress Spritz is you want to make sure you shake them up really well to get all of that mixture mixed together. Now, once in a while, I might bring in a spritz of water just to get that moving a little bit, but I didn't want to bring in too much water to this. So I set these off on the side to dry, and here are the backgrounds once they are dried. Once I hold it up to the camera, you can see when it catches the light that gorgeous shine that it adds. And just think of all the different things that you could die cut from this. It doesn't have to be leaves, it could be flowers, hearts, anything. So check out the colors that you have and also check out the die cuts that you have. Now, when I die cut it, here is how that looks. It is so gorgeous. I really need to do this technique more often. Now that my die cuts are done, I am going to be creating a background and I'm bringing in the Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Mat. So it's a sticky grid surface. This is about a 7x7. And I have a piece of white cardstock placed down that's 4¼ by 5½. And I'm going to bring in my A2 masking stencils again. I just used this in a previous video. I really love that clean, crisp edge that it's going to give me off on the side. And I think it just really gives a nice, um, like landing place for my element to help kind of draw in your attention to the center. I'm going to be using some shades of purple to do this. So I picked out a trio from Simon Says Stamp and I started with the lightest color, which I think that one was Heather. I went over the entire open area of that stencil light-handedly with a blending brush. And then I'm going to come in with the second darkest color. This one I'm going to blend in from the side, kind of bring it in towards the center a little bit, but not a lot, and then finish off with the darkest color. So again, this is something I did in a previous video recently, but I really love this technique and I think it just really helps pull your attention. Another thing I like to do with the Distress Spritz is I like to just take some out of the bottle, place it on my work surface, and use it for splatter. This one is the antique linen and it lives on my desk. I use this one so much. I probably am past the halfway point on it. So while my splatters are drying, I am going to layer up my die cut because there are some pretty delicate areas on that branch. So I am adding some liquid glue to some white cardstock pieces that I die cut using the beautiful branch and then layering those together. So not only will it help kind of pop that off or pop that up on my card a little bit for dimension, but it's also adding the stability. I have a really beautiful but simple sentiment that I'm going to use for my card. So I am going to stamp this first one, which is the word you, in the Versafine black ink. And this is actually a smaller stamp set, but it has a lot of potential to it and a lot of great sentiments you can build up with it. I trimmed out the word you with the coordinating die and stacked those together as well. So I'm picking out a smaller sentiment. This one I am going to stamp directly onto my card front. So here I have everything placed out the way I think I want it to go. Remove that and then stamp the sentiment. So this is going to go down towards the bottom underneath my masked rectangle area that I have there. Now I can start putting my card together. So I do have my panel added to an A2 size side folding card base. I added a liquid glue to my beautiful branch to place that down. Then I have the word you, and I do have some small or thin foam squares kind of underneath the areas that are not overlapping the leaves. And I had it so the bottom half of the Y is kind of right off on the side of that smaller sentiment and finished off with the white flowers. So I chose white flowers because I thought that would really pop off of that purple background. And then I'm going to add some silver pearls to the center of my flowers. So this ends up being a very clean and simple card, but I think it just does pack a lot of punch. It's got that beautiful sentiment on the bottom and our custom die cut piece using the Distress Spray Stains and Distress Spritz, which when you tilt that in the light has the most gorgeous shimmer. I hope this video gives you some ideas if you happen to have the Spritz or Distress Spray Stains in your stash. Again, I will have all of my supplies linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thank you so much for watching. Here is another video I think you may enjoy.